Have you ever noticed that two people can stand at the exact same starting line, face the same challenges, and dream about the same future, yet one changes their life forever, while the other stays exactly where they are? The difference isn't luck. It isn't talent. It isn't even timing. The difference is one decision, just one. And that single decision has the power to rewrite everything that comes after it. Think about that for a moment. Every great achievement you've ever admired began long before anyone noticed it. It didn't begin with applause. It didn't begin with success. It began in complete silence, inside someone's mind, when they finally said, "Enough. My life will not stay like this." Nobody celebrated that moment. Nobody believed in them yet. But that quiet decision became the foundation of everything they would later build. Most people wait for the perfect opportunity. They wait until they have more money, more confidence, more education, more support, or more certainty. They believe success starts when circumstances improve. But life doesn't work that way. Circumstances rarely change first. Decisions do. The moment you decide to become different, your future quietly begins to move in a new direction, even if nothing around you has changed yet. Imagine standing in front of two doors. One is familiar. Behind it is the life you've always known, the routines, the excuses, the comfort, the disappointments, the dreams that remain dreams. The other door is uncertain. You don't know exactly what's behind it. It demands courage. It asks for commitment. It requires you to leave behind the version of yourself that always settles. Which door do most people choose? The familiar one. Not because it's better, but because it's comfortable. Comfort is strange. It rarely feels dangerous. In fact, it often feels safe. But comfort has a hidden cost. Every day you stay where you are, simply because it's familiar. You quietly give away another opportunity to become who you could have been. Days become weeks. Weeks become years. Then one morning you wake up wondering where all the time went. The truth is painful. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they postpone the decision that could have changed everything. They tell themselves they'll start next Monday, next month, next year, after the holidays, after life gets easier. But tomorrow has become the most crowded place in the world. It's where millions of dreams go to disappear. Have you ever promised yourself that things would be different? Maybe you said this year would finally be your year. Maybe you were excited for a few days, you made plans, you imagined a better future, but then life happened. The alarm clock felt heavier. The excuses sounded more convincing. The motivation faded. Suddenly the dream became another memory. Why does this happen? Because excitement is temporary, decisions are permanent. Excitement depends on emotions. Decisions depend on commitment. One disappears when life becomes difficult. The other grows stronger because difficulties remind you why you chose this path in the first place. Picture an airplane sitting on a runway. It has enough fuel to travel across oceans. Its engines are powerful. Its destination is clear. Yet it never leaves the ground. Why? Because power without movement changes nothing. Potential without action remains potential forever. Many people spend their entire lives preparing for a journey they never begin. You probably know someone who always talks about what they're going to do. They have incredible ideas, amazing plans, endless ambitions. Every conversation sounds inspiring. But months later, nothing has changed. Why? Because talking creates the illusion of progress. Only action creates real progress. The world rewards movement, not intentions, not promises, not wishes, movement. Here's something that surprises many people. Success doesn't demand giant leaps. It asks for the courage to take the first small step. That step may look insignificant. Reading 10 pages, waking up 30 minutes earlier, making one phone call, learning one new skill, saving $1, exercising for 15 minutes. None of these actions seem life-changing by themselves, but they send a powerful message to your mind. They say, I'm becoming someone who follows through. That identity matters more than you realize. Every action you repeat becomes evidence. Your brain begins collecting proof about who you are. Skip your commitments often enough, and your mind starts believing you're someone who quits. Keep your commitments consistently, even the small ones, and your mind begins believing you're dependable. Confidence isn't something you find. It's something you build through repeated evidence. This explains why successful people often appear so confident. They weren't born believing in themselves. They earned that belief. Every promise they kept to themselves became another brick in the foundation of their confidence. Think about a mountain climber. Nobody reaches the summit with one giant jump. Every step matters. Some steps are exciting because the view improves. Others are exhausting because the path becomes steep. Yet every step serves the same purpose. It moves the climber forward. Life works exactly the same way. The problem is that we compare our first step to someone else's 1,000th step. We see their success but ignore their struggle. We admire their confidence without seeing the years they spent doubting themselves. We celebrate the victory while overlooking the countless mornings they chose discipline instead of comfort. Comparison steals more dreams than failure ever could. Here's a question worth asking yourself. If nobody could see your progress for the next 5 years, would you still continue? Would you still wake up early? Would you still study? Would you still practice? Would you still improve? Or are you working only for recognition? Real transformation happens long before recognition arrives. A seed spends a long time growing beneath the soil before anyone notices it. During that invisible season, roots spread deep into the ground. Nothing appears to be happening. But everything important is happening. Without those hidden roots, the tree could never survive the storms waiting above. Your life has invisible seasons too. Sometimes it feels like your effort isn't producing results. You work hard, you stay committed, yet nothing seems different. Those moments tempt people to quit. They mistake invisible progress for no progress. Don't make that mistake. Every skill you're building is preparing you for opportunities you cannot yet see. Every lesson learned through failure is strengthening you for victories that haven't arrived. Every disciplined day is shaping a future version of yourself who will someday look back and be grateful you didn't stop. There is a story told about a sculptor working on an enormous block of stone. Day after day, he struck the rock with his hammer. 100 blows, 200, 500. Nothing appeared to happen. Then suddenly, the stone split in two. Did it break because of the final strike? No, it broke because every strike before it mattered. Life often works this way. Progress accumulates quietly until one day the results become impossible to ignore. Outsiders call it overnight success. You know it was years of invisible decisions finally becoming visible. This is why patience is one of the greatest strengths you can develop. Patience doesn't mean waiting without effort. It means continuing to work even when the results haven't caught up with your commitment. The greatest battles you'll ever fight won't happen against other people. They'll happen inside your own mind. Every morning, two voices compete for your attention. One says, stay comfortable. You deserve a break. Start tomorrow. The other says, take one more step. Keep your promise. Your future depends on today's choices. Both voices sound convincing. The one that wins is the one you listen to most often. Discipline isn't about becoming harsh with yourself. It's about becoming trustworthy. Imagine having a friend who broke every promise they made. Eventually you would stop believing them. Yet many people do this to themselves every single day. They promise they'll change, then they don't. Over time, they lose faith in their own word. The good news is that trust can be rebuilt. It begins with one promise, a small one. One you know you can keep. Keep it today. Keep it tomorrow. Keep it next week. Those tiny victories begin changing something deep inside you. You stop seeing yourself as someone who only dreams. You begin seeing yourself as someone who acts. That identity changes everything. One day you'll face a challenge much bigger than anything you've experienced before. In that moment, you won't rise because of motivation. You'll rise because you become the kind of person who keeps moving regardless of how you feel. And that's when you'll realize something extraordinary. The greatest decision you ever made wasn't choosing a career, starting a business, or chasing a dream. It was deciding that your excuses would no longer have more power than your future. That decision doesn't happen once. It happens again every morning. Every sunrise asks the same question. Who will you choose to become today? The answer isn't found in your words. It's found in your next decision. There comes a moment in every meaningful journey when the excitement disappears. It's the moment nobody talks about. The motivation that once felt unstoppable begins to fade. The goal is still there. The dream still matters. But the emotion that carried you in the beginning quietly slips away. This is where most people stop. Not because they aren't capable, but because they believed motivation would carry them all the way to the finish line. The truth is, motivation starts the journey. Commitment finishes it. Think about the strongest building you've ever seen. Before the walls were raised, before the windows reflected the sunlight, workers spent weeks digging into the ground. To anyone passing by, it looked like nothing was being built. Just dirt, just holes, just noise. But those invisible days determined whether the building would stand for decades or collapse under pressure. Your character is built the same way. The world sees achievements. It applauds promotions, successful businesses, healthy bodies, financial freedom, and fulfilled dreams. What it doesn't see are the quiet mornings when nobody was watching. It doesn't see the sacrifices, the disappointments, the lonely evenings spent learning while everyone else was being entertained. It doesn't see the thousands of ordinary decisions that slowly created an extraordinary life. Success hides in ordinary days. People often imagine that one massive opportunity will suddenly change everything. They wait for the perfect job, the perfect investment, the perfect connection, the perfect moment. But life rarely changes because of one giant opportunity. More often, it changes because someone keeps showing up long after everyone else has stopped trying. Ask yourself something. If success took 10 years instead of one, would you still begin today? That question separates dreamers from builders. Dreamers love the destination. Builders fall in love with the process. Imagine two people planting the exact same tree. The first waters it for 2 weeks, sees no fruit, and walks away convinced it will never grow. The second continues watering it every single day, even though nothing seems to change. Months pass, then one day tiny leaves appear. Years later, that tree provides shade, fruit, and strength. The difference wasn't talent. The difference was consistency. Consistency isn't exciting. It doesn't create headlines. It doesn't usually feel rewarding in the moment. In fact, many days it feels repetitive. But repetition is how excellence is created. A musician doesn't become extraordinary by practicing once. An athlete doesn't become stronger after one workout. A writer doesn't create a masterpiece by writing one paragraph. A successful life is simply the result of thousands of repeated decisions that most people are unwilling to make. Here's something that surprises many people. Every successful person has days when they don't feel like doing the work. They get tired. They become frustrated. They question themselves. They experience fear. The difference is not that they avoid these emotions. The difference is that they refuse to let those emotions make their decisions. Feelings are temporary. Decisions create permanent consequences. Think back to a time when you almost gave up. Maybe it was a goal you truly cared about. Maybe it was learning something difficult. Maybe it was rebuilding after a setback. At that moment, quitting probably seemed reasonable. It probably even felt justified. Now imagine if you had continued just a little longer. How different would your life look today? Most people never discover what's possible because they quit one chapter before the story begins to change. Life has an interesting habit. It often becomes hardest just before growth appears. Picture a blacksmith shaping a piece of steel. The metal is placed into intense heat. Then it is struck again and again with a heavy hammer. If that steel could speak, it might believe it was being destroyed. In reality, it was becoming stronger than it had ever been. Challenges often feel the same way. The difficult season you're facing may not be breaking you. It may be preparing you. Every obstacle teaches something comfort never could. Failure teaches humility. Pressure teaches patience. Disappointment teaches resilience. Responsibility teaches maturity. Loss teaches gratitude. And persistence teaches confidence. These lessons cannot be bought. They cannot be borrowed. They must be lived. Too many people see failure as a final destination, but failure is rarely the end. More often, it is a teacher asking one important question. What are you willing to learn before you try again? Every mistake contains information. Every setback contains wisdom. Every disappointment contains direction. The people who eventually succeed are not the ones who avoid failure. They are the ones who become students of failure. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? They ask, what is this trying to teach me? That single shift changes everything. Imagine driving at night on a long highway. Your headlights only allow you to see a short distance ahead, yet somehow you complete the entire journey. Why? Because you don't need to see the whole road before you begin. You only need enough light for the next step. Life works exactly the same way. Many people refuse to move until they know every answer, but clarity often comes after action, not before it. The first step creates the next step. The next step creates confidence. Confidence creates momentum. Momentum creates transformation. One decision starts the entire chain. There is another trap that quietly steals years from people's lives. Perfection. Perfection sounds noble, but it often disguises fear. People say they are waiting until everything is ready. They want the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect conditions, the perfect version of themselves. Meanwhile, life continues moving forward. Perfection delays, progress transforms. An imperfect action taken today is worth more than a perfect plan that never leaves your notebook. Think about how children learn to walk. They don't analyze every movement. They don't wait until they're certain. They fall, they stand up, they fall again. Then suddenly one day, they're running. Imagine if adults approached growth with the same courage. Instead, many people become afraid of looking inexperienced. They become prisoners of other people's opinions. Here's something worth remembering. Most people are too busy worrying about themselves to spend much time judging you. The fear that holds you back often exists only inside your own imagination. The moment you stop living for approval, you begin living with purpose. Purpose gives ordinary days extraordinary meaning. Suddenly, waking up early isn't punishment, it's preparation. Learning isn't difficult, it's investment. Discipline isn't restriction, it's freedom. Every healthy habit becomes a vote for the future you're creating. Every positive choice whispers to your future self, I'm building a better life for you. Now consider the opposite. Every excuse also sends a message. I'll do it tomorrow. It doesn't matter today. I've already missed one day. These small choices seem harmless, but repeated often enough, they quietly shape an average life. Success and regret are both built one decision at a time. The frightening part is that neither announces itself immediately. Regret grows silently. Success grows silently too. The only difference is which direction your daily decisions are pointing. Imagine carrying 2 buckets every single day. One bucket represents your future. The other represents your excuses. Every decision fills one of them. Every action adds another drop. At first, the buckets appear almost identical. Months later, one is overflowing while the other remains nearly empty. That is how lives are shaped. Not through dramatic moments, through repeated choices that seem almost invisible. There is incredible power in realizing that you don't have to fix your entire life today. You only have to win today. Today's decision becomes tomorrow's habit. Tomorrow's habit becomes next year's identity, and identity determines destiny. People often ask how successful individuals stay disciplined for years. The better question is this: how do they make one good decision today? Because that's all anyone truly controls. Not next year, not next month, not even tomorrow. Only today, only this hour, only this decision. The future isn't created in giant leaps. It's created in moments that feel too small to matter. Yet those moments matter more than anyone realizes. One conversation can create a friendship that changes your life. One book can introduce an idea that changes your thinking forever. One habit can improve your health. One opportunity accepted can change your career. One apology can heal a broken relationship. One decision can alter an entire future. Never underestimate small beginnings. The biggest rivers begin as tiny streams. The tallest forests begin with small seeds. The strongest leaders begin as uncertain beginners. The greatest transformations begin with quiet decisions that almost nobody notices. The world celebrates the finish line, but life is changed in the moments before anyone is paying attention. And perhaps that's the greatest secret of all. The life you've been hoping for isn't waiting for you to become extraordinary first. It is waiting for you to make one extraordinary decision and then have the courage to repeat it again tomorrow. Every great story reaches a moment when the main character has a choice to make. One path is easy. The other is uncertain. One promises comfort. The other demands courage. In that moment, the future isn't decided by circumstances. It is decided by character. Your life is no different. There will always be reasons to wait. There will always be obstacles you didn't expect. There will always be people who doubt you, question you, or underestimate what you're capable of becoming. But none of those voices can define your future unless you allow them to become louder than your own. Think about a river flowing toward the ocean. It never argues with the rocks in its path. It never turns around because the journey becomes difficult. It simply keeps moving, day after day, season after season. Eventually, the very rocks that seemed impossible to overcome become smooth because of the river's persistence. Persistence has a quiet power. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It simply refuses to stop. Most people believe confidence comes before action. They think successful people wake up feeling fearless every morning. But confidence rarely arrives first. More often, it follows action. The first conversation feels awkward. The first presentation feels terrifying. The first business feels uncertain. The first workout feels exhausting. The first investment feels risky. The first attempt almost never feels comfortable. Yet every second attempt feels a little easier. Every third attempt feels a little more natural. One day, you realize that what once terrified you has become part of who you are. Growth is strange like that. It asks you to become uncomfortable before it allows you to become unstoppable. There is something remarkable about the human mind. Whatever you feed consistently begins to grow. Feed it excuses, and excuses multiply. Feed it fear, and fear becomes familiar. Feed it discipline, and discipline becomes your identity. Feed it possibility, and suddenly opportunities begin appearing where you once saw obstacles. Your mind is like a garden. Leave it unattended, and weeds grow naturally. Plant better thoughts, water them with action, and over time they become the strongest part of your life. Many people spend years trying to change their circumstances while ignoring the way they think. But circumstances often follow mindset. When you begin expecting more from yourself, you naturally begin demanding more from your habits. When your habits improve, your results improve. When your results improve, your confidence grows. When your confidence grows, your entire future begins to change. It all starts from the inside. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with heavy stones. Each stone represents an old excuse. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have enough experience. I've failed too many times. No one believes in me. I missed my chance. Every excuse makes the journey heavier. Now imagine setting those stones on the ground. The path ahead hasn't changed. The mountain is still there, but suddenly you're lighter. Sometimes the greatest progress comes from letting go rather than adding more. You don't need another excuse. You need another decision. One of the biggest misunderstandings about success is believing that successful people never experience doubt. They do. The difference is, they don't allow doubt to become the driver of their lives. Imagine getting into a car where fear sits in the passenger seat. That's normal. Fear will always have something to say. It will remind you of past failures. It will predict future disappointments. It will whisper that you're not ready. Let it speak if it must. Just don't hand it the steering wheel. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move while fear is still talking. Life rewards that kind of courage. Not immediately, not dramatically, but consistently. There will be mornings when your progress feels invisible, days when the work feels repetitive, weeks when nothing seems to improve. Those are the moments that define people. Anyone can continue when results are exciting. Very few continue when results are hidden. Yet hidden seasons often produce the greatest harvest. Farmers understand this. They don't dig up the seed every week to check if it's growing. They trust the process. They keep watering. They keep caring. They understand that growth happens beneath the surface long before it appears above the ground. Treat your dreams the same way. Protect them. Work on them. Be patient with them. Then one day the results that seemed impossible become undeniable. Success has another secret that many overlook. It changes you long before it changes your life. The disciplined person doesn't simply earn more. They become stronger. The reader doesn't simply gain knowledge. They begin thinking differently. The person who exercises doesn't only improve physically. They develop resilience. The entrepreneur doesn't only build a business. They build character. The greatest reward is never the achievement itself. It's the person you become while pursuing it. Imagine reaching every goal you've ever dreamed about without becoming wiser, kinder, stronger, or more disciplined. Would it really feel like success? Probably not. Because true success isn't measured only by what you have. It's measured by who you've become. Money can be lost, positions can change, fame can disappear, but character stays with you wherever you go. That is why investing in yourself always offers the greatest return. Every book you read, every lesson you learn, every skill you develop, every challenge you overcome, every promise you keep, these investments cannot be taken away. They become part of you. One day someone may look at your life and say, "You're lucky." Smile when that happens, because they didn't see the mornings you wanted to quit. They didn't see the sacrifices. They didn't see the lonely hours. They didn't see the failures that taught you more than success ever could. They only saw the harvest. They never witnessed the planting. Remember this whenever you admire someone else's success. Don't envy the result. Learn from the process. Success leaves clues, not shortcuts. Clues. Follow them patiently. Apply them consistently. Trust them completely. As the years pass, you'll begin to notice something extraordinary. The goals that once seemed impossible become normal. The habits that once felt difficult become automatic. The fears that once controlled you lose their power. The person you hope to become quietly becomes the person you are. Transformation rarely announces itself. It arrives one ordinary day when you suddenly realize you've become someone your past self wouldn't recognize. That is one of life's greatest rewards. Now imagine yourself 10 years from today. Picture yourself looking back at this very moment. What would your future self hope you decide today? Would they ask you to wait? Would they encourage one more excuse? Would they tell you to settle for less than you're capable of? Or would they whisper something far more powerful? Begin. Not tomorrow. Today. Not perfectly. Consistently. Not with certainty. With courage. Because certainty comes after commitment. There is no perfect time. No perfect condition. No perfect version of you waiting somewhere in the future. There is only this moment, this choice, this opportunity. History isn't shaped by people who waited until they felt ready. It's shaped by people who decided that their purpose was greater than their fear. You have dreams for a reason. You have ambitions for a reason. You have the ability to learn, to grow, to adapt, and to rise for a reason. Don't waste those gifts by living beneath your potential. Every sunrise offers a fresh invitation. Every challenge offers a hidden lesson. Every setback offers another chance. Every decision offers a new direction. And every single day gives you another opportunity to become the person you've always known you could be. Years from now, you won't remember every obstacle. You won't remember every difficult morning. You won't remember every moment of doubt. But you will remember the day you stopped making excuses. You will remember the day you chose discipline over comfort. You will remember the day you stopped waiting for permission. You will remember the day you decided that your future deserved more than your fears. That was the day everything changed. Not because the world changed. Not because luck suddenly appeared. Not because someone rescued you. Everything changed because you changed. Because success has never belonged to the fastest. It has never belonged to the smartest. It has never belonged to the most fortunate. It belongs to those who make a decision and honor that decision long after the excitement fades. So when this video ends, don't wait for another speech. Don't wait for another Monday. Don't wait for another year. Take one step. Make one phone call. Read one chapter. Write one page. Learn one lesson. Keep one promise to yourself. Then wake up tomorrow and do it again. One decision, one action, one day at a time. Because the life you've been searching for has never been as far away as you imagined. It has been waiting on the other side of a single decision. Make that decision today and never look back.